Hi guys, I am Witold, and if you are here, I think you must be enjoying pain. I actually switched on that green light for all of us Harley fans, and I had a piece of chocolate. I recommend you do the same before watching this video to sweeten up the crazy pain that may occur during this video. Yeah, it may be a painful one. Usually, the look at what hasn't gone perfectly, well, it hurts. But here with Harley-Davidson, not only is the bike interesting, but its target group of riders can be interesting as well. There's been a lot of controversy. It's doing actually a decent job, this bike, in certain areas, despite the mixed feelings that some might have. It's a more mature motorcycle than I would ever expect Harley to build on their first try. So yes, here in this video, I'm focusing actually only on what may not suit you guys, as it didn't suit me, and on things that are a total screw up, as there are a few of those too. Sorry. You will either do the famous facepalm or laugh. The key here, guys, is that this is not a full review of the motorcycle, as my full detailed review is in another video, which is linked also in the description. If you go through this video without laughing at those certain engineering and design masterpieces, and you will also not end up depressed or discouraged, you may really probably go ahead and get yourself a Harley-Davidson Pan America with no regrets. Straight to the first reason why you might not want to get a Harley-Davidson Pan America. And the first reason is that if you are willing to ride in the city, you better consider it being a car instead of a motorcycle. Its lack of stability at lower speeds makes it harder. I'm not gonna say hard, but I'm just gonna say harder because there are worse bikes in the category. But it will still tire you down pretty quickly, I guess. At least some of you guys. Where I live, which is in Europe, we ride a lot between the cars, and that's usually one of the main ideas of riding a motorcycle in the city, to avoid traffic jams. But because of the lanes not getting wider, but rather cars getting more bulky instead, there's rather less and less space between them. So it gets tight. Then you need to be able to steer very precisely in those situations to not slam into some car, and also not to just hit any mirror with the handlebar or the handguard. Pan America will not be very good at this, while some other bikes in the category, they are either very good, equally bad as Pan America, and even worse. On this scale, well, to me it's bad. As I was doing it, it requires tremendous amount of focus, and in the case of Pan America, physical effort to keep it precise. Some things you cannot control, and here the bike is not stable enough and simply makes it hard for the rider to comfortably go slowly between cars, make U-turns and maneuver anywhere at low speed. You simply won't enjoy it in the city, and I would suggest avoiding riding it there if you don't have to. That was actually the biggest disappointment for me. So if you are fine at this moment, I think we're good to go further. This behavior may be particularly because of the soft and kind of diving front suspension due to the handlebar feeling like it's too high, or it being actually very hard to turn left and right, like mechanically to turn the wheel. In other words, you need to put a lot of strength into moving the handlebar left and right when riding slowly. That is pretty unusual. I don't think it happens very often that you really struggle with the handlebar, but it's here. Self-height adjusting suspension and Pan America Special with this option, it may also contribute to this feeling, maybe. However, it's hard to isolate a specific cause, and it will be almost invisible for you if you live outside of the city and also ride outside of the city, where speeds are simply higher by default. And then you don't have to give a crap about that. It's not an issue when you've got a whole lane for yourself, is it? The second reason for which you might decide that you want to avoid the Harley-Davidson Pan America is its engineering errors and malfunctions. It is a Harley, so I guess you've got to accept its flaws for some reason, but this brings up the questions about reliability, which I cannot answer except for showing you how the bike sometimes struggled to start its engine. To me, it happened, I believe, 3 times. Once when the salesperson was about to start it, then it died on me myself in traffic and didn't want to start. And then when stationary. In the end, it would always happen, it would start its engine, but you're like, okay, when's gonna be the time that it doesn't start? Now, what has been engineered in the wrong way is a windshield or handguards, an indicator switch, and the center stand and or side stand. First, as for the windshield, it's rather that someone at some point decided to offer an option of handguards for Pan America, and so they added them. But I guess that another completely separate team was developing and testing the windshield. And when the day of the final assembly came, it turned out that the parts collide with each other when you are turning the front wheel. Apparently, the handguards hit and bend the windshield in the last part of the motion. Either nobody noticed or they noticed too late to be able to correct it. They left it as it is. It's stupid but not really harmful. What is an issue and is super annoying to me is the indicator switch that you've got to double check with the instrument panel after trying to turn the indicators off. This is because of its travel, which is like a half of a millimeter, and there is no click that would clearly tell you that you switched the indicators off. And I consider that a problem in daily riding. To me, that was a problem at least, and I kept thinking about it all the time. And I just know it would stay in my head and would keep my head busy every single time. The third prize for engineering perfection is the side and center stand that collide with each other as well.
There's a little bit of a fuck up here. So if you put it on a center stand before folding the side stand, you cannot fold the side stand, and then I wonder how exactly am I going to put it down safely without the side stand hitting the ground and me being shot into the right side.
There must have been a lot of people with big ego working on this bike, so that they decided to not talk with each other at all and then not fix the stuff that they left like that. No, mine's gonna be there. No, mine's gonna be there. And they are both there and they are not working together. So the guy that designed the side stand got surprised by the one that designed the center stand and vice versa. Kind of a shame with those kinds of, rookie mistakes, and for that money, come on. The last thing that I just remembered is making the rear luggage rack and at the same time the handle for a pillion out of plastic. It's not very reassuring, so I guess someone had a lot of adrenaline for the passenger in their mind when developing the Pan America in this particular solution. But let's move to the third reason, which is design. And I'm not going to say much here, as we all know that it's a matter of taste. I'll just mention two things. First is that it was a risky decision to make its front main lamp look like a shark's open mouth. The second thing is that I believe that there is a potential for making it look pretty cool and at the same time nice and powerful. If you look from the side, but rather close so that you don't see the horrible lamp, you will notice that the fuel tank and the fairings make it look like a real Harley actually. And I think that there's an opportunity here. This could look cool because up to some point it already does look cool, and I recommend that Harley builds upon that. I really don't see the majority of riders appreciating that open mouth of it at the moment. Something I feel just went terribly wrong with an idea of making it look like a Robocop. Please let me know what you guys think. In the fourth reason, I've got to point out that the brakes were not the best as a whole setup. The front brake was rather fine, but the front end dives so much when using it that you may not feel very confident using it. It may not be encouraging if a brake has to be encouraging in the first place. I get it. But it does the job, and thank God, since the rear brake does close to nothing, or does actually exactly nothing. I haven't ridden a motorcycle with such rear brake. I just quit using it after a few tries. On the other hand, there is supposed to be an integrated system which isn't very clearly described, but the idea is that when you're using one brake, the other one also engages a little bit. And I assume that if you squeeze the front brake, the rear one is also being engaged a little bit, but if you only use the rear one, it's feeling like rather there's nothing working, at least in this particular unit. Something was definitely off with the rear brake in the Pan America Special that I was riding. So if you have similar experiences, please let me know. If you have the opposite experiences, please also do let us all know so that we can clear it up. So that part was not particularly inspiring to me. Now the fifth reason, which may for some of you guys be a real deal breaker, it's how the bike has its real wheel propelled. There are motorcycles in the category that use a drive shaft like BMW R1250 GS and the newest Triumph Tiger 1200. Some use chain drive like Ducati Multistrada V4, KTM 1290 Super Adventure, BMW S1000 XR as well, and Suzuki V-Strom 1050, and also Honda Africa Twin 1100. Harley-Davidson is a brand that uses a belt in its other motorcycles. In Pan America, they broke the rule and went with a chain. So the cheapest for them, the lightest for the bike, and the most annoying for all of us solution. Here Harley could have had a chance to build something even more unique and maybe give the bike a belt, making it the only one in the category with this solution, but no. They decided not to experiment too much. I guess they might have experimented already a lot with the suspension. Okay, fine, that's fine. But I consider it a touring bike because of how it rides and it feels. And in a touring bike, having a drive shaft is a blessing, as you don't need to think about it at all. You skip the stops for spraying the chain. You have space by not needing, you have more space by not needing to have a spray can with you all the time, and you skip the trouble of making yourself and the whole bike dirty when spraying the chain and then riding with all that crap on it. I am a fan of easy and comfortable solutions. If not the drive shaft, then why not a belt? I wonder if anybody knows why Harley didn't go with that. Please let me know. I don't think it's a matter of power, because Ducati mounts a belt on a Ducati X Diavolo, which has more power than this Pan America. So very interesting. Now, the sixth point is that because of Harley-Davidson introducing a bike that's not close to what the brand is all about, I wonder how many other Harley owners treat the Pan America the same way Lamborghini fans may treat an Urus. So the SUV with a Lamborghini logo, which is technically a Volkswagen Touareg. It's kind of like going against the nature, with nature being a little bit too powerful word here. But it's not bad, but you may need to be ready to expect some friction here, some resistance here. You know, there are certain societies that feel entitled to their hermetic circles and their rules. And this may be one of those with Harley owners. You know, you might get, you know what I mean. And now a super weird thing which is also connected to this point, and it actually made me laugh like crazy. It's that, and it's, in the end of the day, it can't be serious, I think, and it's that you cannot rev Pan America to over 4,000 RPM to just listen to it, because it's got a rev limiter just like some cars. Why, Harley? Why? It's against the idea of having a Harley-Davidson with a big and cool V2 engine, isn't it? I just can't understand this, especially that it sounds pretty nice, exactly because of being a V2. Damn it, Harley. I hope that there is a way of disabling it, or I hope there's a better way of explaining it, which I don't think there is. I don't think that any of you guys should really care about this sort of things, but you might want to be aware of that up front. The bike is not to rev it all the time, I get it, and I get it, okay, but just have a pepper spray on your person at all times in case you meet a group of other Harley riders at some petrol station who think that having a rev limiter on your Harley is a crime. I know there's at least one more Harley with that idea, but whatever. Whoops. The seventh reason that may force you to avoid Pan America is its price. At the moment, it's listed as around 20,000 euros for the base Pan America, so not the special one, which makes it pretty much the same as Ducati Multistrada V4, and a tiny bit less actually. But when I think that it's at the same time around 20% more expensive than a base BMW R1250 GS, then it makes me wonder a lot. This makes the GS seem as a bargain. I understand Harley really, as bikes of this brand have never been cheap, and it's fine. I really think it's fine. It's a bit like with Rolls-Royce cars that don't have automatic climate control, and you've got to play with the warmer, colder switch, which is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? It may seem a little bit arrogant, but you still want that Rolls. It's a bit the same with Harley. It sounds cool, the name sounds cool. Still, it is so much money. Now, in the eighth point, I concluded that Pan America is not exactly built to go off-road. Sure, technically it can, just like the Sportster can go, or any other Harleys. I feel that it's not where it will do any good. I could take a Multistrada or a GS off-road and would push them, but I wouldn't even dare to take the Harley. And it's not because I would be worried to damage it, but it's because it would be a struggle for me. Since it's not that easy to ride at lower speeds, and off-roading can be in large parts about riding slowly. And then this automatically makes you not feel that confident perhaps. There's a reason why bikes riding in motocross are freaking stripped of everything, including starters and lights. The lighter they are, the easier it is for them and for you out there. And so there is more freedom, more confidence and more fun. Pan America feels heavy and I don't see it physically handling a lot of rough stuff with that soft front suspension. I know it's possible, I know people do try. I don't feel it's the point, and I'm just sharing that opinion with you. In my eyes, Pan America is a purely touring bike. Not even that much of an adventure, so kind of partly off-road motorcycle. And it doesn't have to be. And it doesn't have to be an issue at all. Now, the last ninth reason is that the bike feels intimidating. If you are about my size, so 183 centimeters tall, and you have the seat in the lower setting, you might feel like the handlebar is very high, so like in choppers. It's not, but that's a feeling. I wasn't expecting that at all, but I'm certain that this is how I felt on Pan America, so it might feel the same to you. So lift your arms and try to control something that is underneath you this way. It won't be very inspiring, and it wasn't for me. And I would recommend putting the seat into the taller position in the first place, if your legs are long enough. It's really high, but the seat is nicely soft, so you will sag in it slightly, and this will help. Then not only will it be even more comfy than it already is, and here you might want to check the video with reasons for which it may be worth to get Pan America, but it will still be a little bit lower this way. Now, this ninth point has something to do with the first one, but it translates into the feeling of the bike being out of your reach and like a kind of a shopping cart, which you started loading from the front and with the heaviest stuff out there. Since you're holding it from the rear, it makes steering all that heavy weight up front super difficult. It is a similar feeling up to some point. In other words, you might feel like the bike is having its own opinion in terms of handling and where it wants to go at a certain moment. Outside of the city, I believe it can be a great tourer, and I would definitely consider it with the adjustable suspension. It really does a fantastic job and is one of a kind. So if now all those things feel like they wouldn't bother you, or you tried the bike and none of those is serious enough for you, then I guess you're lucky to conclude that this is really a bike for you. And I hope that many of you are left with such a feeling, as now you're having a pretty solid view on what you might not like in the bike. And that's very useful information if you're considering to put a lot of money, a lot of cash on the table. And I suggest that you watch the other video with a view of reasons of why to buy it. And I linked it for you in the description. And see you in the next video or on my Instagram at David Old. See you!